Wednesday, May 21st, 2014. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, Sailor Moon, because Scott had actually never seen any of it until now.
I saw some. Let's do this.
Also known as Bishoujo Senshi
No, I meant you should have said that
Moon.
instead of any of the other stuff you said.
Instead of what other stuff?
You should have just said tonight, Bishoujo Senshi Sailor Moon.
Oh, you're still
See
mad
ya.
about me doing long openers?
Yes.
You're still mad about that?
Are you trying to make up for the openers you're not doing because you're in Europe?
They've got to be just long enough to make it through the pre-canned opening scroll that I got in the audio.
You know, you can use a smaller can, right? If you only got so many beans, put them in a half-size tin.
No, double tin. Double it up. I should release a DVD of just Geeknights openers.
Do whatever you're going to do.
So yeah, there's a limited time for this, but if you're an anime fan, which I assume you are, why else would you listen to Geeknights Wednesdays, which was once the easiest Geeknights to do, is now increasingly the second
I've watched
most...
a ton of animes. Which
Yeah.
one would you like to talk about that you haven't
Here's
watched?
the trouble. How many animes have we collectively watched if we reviewed all of them? That'd get us a month, 2 months of shows.
We only do like 2 anime shows a month at most.
Yep.
You gotta
So 2
watch like
months.
1 or 2 anime a month to make Geek Nights happen.
Yep, but we got to watch enough to properly review them.
It's enough.
But anyway, if you're an anime fan at all, you know that other than pretty much Kill La Kill and Madoka Magica, the last great anime was Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. I have, since second gig ended...
Not counting movies.
Yeah, not counting movies. Pretty much all I've wanted out of anime. Though Kill La Kill kept me going.
You
And
already
though
mentioned that
Madoka
one.
kept me going. And there were other good shows along the way. I pretty much just want more Ghost in the Shell.
Okay.
So, as you know, there is more Ghost in the Shell. It's not done yet. Arise is still ongoing. It's kind of a prequel, a little bit of style change.
It's one of those OAV kind of things, like Gundam UC, where I was planning to wait for it to all be done and then watch it. But you know what? Well, Gundam UC is done now, so I'm gonna watch
Yep.
it.
But there are also, we have conflicting policies of watch any anime that's in a theater in New York.
right. So Arise is gonna be in a theater in New York.
Borders 1 and 2
So
are
not,
being
so
screened
not the whole thing.
in New York, Atlanta, Cambridge, Baltimore, Alexandria, and like 12 other cities on May 29th, which is next Thursday.
It's using this weird system where like enough people have to want to go in order for it to like, you know, happen. So
It's like
in-
Kickstarter
Yeah.
just for a movie screening.
So it's like in some of the cities, like not enough people signed up for it, so it's not going to get screened.
Yeah, so if you want to see this, the deadline is like in days.
I wonder
So-
if we can use this and like get things we want to watch in the movie theater.
Attack the gas station.
Exactly. Something like that.
I think I could get a couple hundred people to
Ebola
come and watch
syndrome.
that. I don't know if I ever want to watch Ebola Syndrome again.
I don't either, but if I put it on the website, maybe other people will subject themselves to it by accident.
I wonder if it's just on YouTube or something.
Oh my God.
I could believe that.
hope
That might
not.
be, Ebola Syndrome might literally be the most abhorrent piece of fiction I've ever watched or consumed in any way, beginning to end.
That is 100% correct.
The only reason
I
that
can't
is
even
true.
begin to think of anything, not even shit like Apocalypse Zero is
Apocalypse
on the
Zero
Ebola syndrome level.
Is basically a children's anime compared to Ebola Syndrome.
That's right.
Ichi the Killer is a romp through the park. Oh, Ebola Syndrome. But the only reason it's the most important thing I've ever seen is all the way through is because I did walk out of Martin Short's Clifford.
Okay.
So yes, go buy tickets to this. If you go to the one in New York, well, we're going. We'll be there. You can say hi. I imagine the same people I see at
If you're tall, don't sit in front of me.
every screening of anime we ever go to in New York City, we see the same people at every time. I imagine those people will all be there.
Yep.
If you want to join Animu New York, go to the screening. Everyone in line is going to be awesome.
All right. In other news, the show that we're going to talk about in our main bit, Sailor Moon, is back. Now, we all knew there was going to be a new Sailor Moon series, Sailor Moon Crystal, something, whatever, right? And people have been waiting for it, and it's been delayed and teased and all kinds
Not
of
just delayed, but delayed with no information, no art, no trailers, nothing.
Right. Suddenly, probably the biggest news in U.S. anime, period, has happened, right? Sailor Moon, the whole thing, I don't know anything about movies, but all the TV series right, are being subbed and new dubbed and released, uncut in the original Japanese form, on the internet and DVD and Blu-ray
Original, uncropped, 4x3.
in order, nothing missing, starting already.
I like
Four
how
episodes
this
are
website
already
I'm
on the
looking
internet.
at makes a special point to say, yes, that includes Sailor Stars.
Yep, everything, the whole deal. It's like it's happening.
No, it's interesting because this is more the news bit. There is a small but not trivial backlash against this.
Well, it's the same as like right. So most people who are like Sailor Moon are like, yes.
I mean, I'm excited about this. Sailor Moon is a pretty fucking important anime, both in Japan and the United States.
Yeah. I mean, people, like in the United States, it's like because it was on TV, right? That's the reason it's a big deal. But you think, oh, is it one of those shows like in Japan, no one gives a shit about Sailor Moon? And in the US, it was a big deal just because it was the only one that made it on TV.
Yeah, it introduced the concept of a magical girl to most of the non-Japan world.
Right. But in Japan, it's like, wait a minute. If this show wasn't a big deal in Japan, like say Cowboy Bebop isn't that big a deal in Japan, why are there like 4 different seasons with 200-something episodes? Oh, because it was a big deal in Japan.
Yup. In fact, it was a big deal around the world. Sailor Moon is one of those iconic, recognizable characters where everyone knows what it is.
Yep, it's like Hokuto no Ken big worldwide, right?
Yup.
So this is a big deal. So if you didn't watch Sailor Moon back in the day, now is the Sailor Moon time. It is the revival of Sailor Moons.
Now,
So we're doing a Sailor Moon show.
Now, yep, but what is interesting is that I was previously going to say probably not worth watching all of the old Sailor Moon because I've watched all of it
Why not watch all
multiple
of it?
times. Now I'm older and I have a lot more free time to watch these long. Like when I was younger, I couldn't really deal
You
with
don't
a
have
lot
more
of
free time. You have less.
but I fly around a lot. Do you know how many movies I've watched in the last 2 weeks?
The way I view it, right, is it looks like they're going to be putting out releasing episodes in order every Monday, right? So basically, it's like if I just have nothing the fuck to do and I can't go outside and I can't not at work and it's just like I got 20 minutes with nothing, Sailor Moon.
You know what?
And eventually I'll see it all.
Having just watched the first 2 episodes again, it's kind of worth watching.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's actually a pretty good show for what it is.
But yeah, all the Sailor Moon that was beneath the surface has now risen to the top like a giant mountain above all other animes.
I guess that means I don't need to dig out my
In the
VCR to be able to watch my VKLL fan subs.
Nope, you can sell all that shit.
Actually, I was looking around to find some info to see if the guy who did those was still around.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a number of people who are desperate to buy them, not to watch, but just to have as collector's items.
All right, sell it off, make some money.
Because this guy was pretty fucking serious about this. Was back in the day.
Make some dough.
Because it's not really relevant to the show itself. I guess I'll tell this story now. So, as you guys know, I've been watching anime for pretty much literally my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Like since I was a little kid, my mom made me watch Vampire Hunter D, anime. So by the time Sailor Moon was on American TV and I was watching it, I was already old hat into anime. Like high school was when Cartoon Network had their like big rebirth because they brought out Sailor Moon R, but only the first.
I could see Sailor Moon in middle school because it was syndicated on the broadcast.
It
network.
was, but that was only the first season, of course, heavily edited.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was Sailor Moon R. The next one has 2 halves. These Alan and Anne, aliens in a tree from space, do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a second half that's all Prince Diamond and those assholes. They only ever aired the first half on Cartoon Network when, at least originally, when they were like, hey, we got more Sailor Moon. You can watch more than just what you saw as a kid. Oh my gosh. But even then, anime was old hat. So I knew at that point about anime. I knew information. I knew there were clubs out there. I knew there were fan subs. And I had some friends who were also really into Sailor Moon. I really wanted to see what I heard was the crazy crap that happens later. And I knew a decent bit about it. So I did the thing that you did back in the day. Bought a bunch of really high quality VHS tapes and I mailed them to a guy along with a check. And he mailed me back really nice clamshells, like big, heavy, thick white clamshells with laser printed full color high resolution images from the laser discs on them. These things were way high production values. Every I keep saying thinking disc. Every VHS tape had its own edge label and its own side label. Again, printed high quality. All of Sailor Moon, every bit of it.
With subtitles.
Yes, with subtitles.
Good subtitles.
Mastered with his fucking Genlock machine from the Laserdisc masters that he had and the translation he did himself. VKLL seems to have been kind of a legend among Sailor Moon fans.
That guy had so little to do that he sat there and made those tapes for you and how many other people?
Apparently a lot of people.
That guy was just sitting there making tapes all day.
That was what anime fandom was.
How many
That's
VCRs the fuck did that guy have?
That is what anime conventions were until, what, the year 2001?
Yeah. But anyway, there's some people in the community, right, who are like, this is awful because they are like Robotech people, where it's like, you know, a lot of those shows when they're originally brought to the US were fucked the fuck up. Like Robotech, they changed everyone's name and combined 3 shows into one. And Sailor Moon, they changed people's names and cut shit out, right? And some people, it's like their nostalgia is for that edited American crappy version. And they don't like the original version. They're like, no, you're ruining it. Her name is not Usagi.
These people will refer to her name's not, you know, we're not gonna, they shouldn't be using the other name, which we won't actually write out in English characters because that disrespects the ancient power of the Japanese language. It's not, Usagi is just our rough interpretation of that word. Weeaboos amaze me to a degree that sometimes surprises me.
Yeah. It's hilarious. That's all there is to it.
Yes.
Anyway.
But little known fact, that guy, he subbed a couple other things.
Evangelion?
He subbed End of Evangelion, which I watched without having seen Evangelion, not even knowing it was related. And he subbed, I think, the Tokimeki Memorial, like, OAV special?
It had an anime? I thought
yeah.
it was just an SNES game at first.
Was it Tokimeki or was it? No, it was Too Hard. It was one of those dating shows. Whatever.
Too Hard came way later, digital subs. That was one of the early digital ones.
Yeah, but he did one of those dating game type things, had a show, and he did it as part of everything else he did. And since I was getting all of Sailor Moon, I just got everything he'd ever fansubbed, which was Sailor Moon plus those handful of other things. But first, things of the day. So you guys know we're really into Counter-Strike, and while we're old,
I haven't played Counter-Strike in a long time.
I don't know why not. Counter-Strike is great right now.
I'm busy.
Busy doing what? You can play some Counter-Strike.
Doing other shit.
What good games are you playing lately?
Video games?
Yeah, what video games are you playing?
None
really?
video games.
You should play some video games. We've had some, so Geeknights actually has an official Counter-Strike server, and you know what?
It's still up?
People have been
still go
playing there.
Really?
In fact, we just had
Listeners or just random internet people?
Listeners.
Really?
We had it. It's all talk. It's set up for our use. It's an awesome server. So we've been playing a bunch of Counter-Strike there, and it's super fun. It's amazing how it's the air hockey problem. I'm way better than pretty much most of the listeners.
I'm probably garbage now.
You were always garbage.
I was not always
You were
garbage.
never that good at Counter-Strike. I'm not going to lie.
I was that good, just how
You were okay.
I was good at a point.
You were good when the P90 was OP.
There were also times, right? And it's, I wouldn't be consistently good, but I would have like 1 in 5 matches, moment of greatness.
There would be that moment where you just like randomly flip around and click, and then you headshot a guy across the map, and you're like, I'm
that
meant to do
happens
that.
a couple times. But I mean, also there would be, there'd be like days where like I'm really good today, right? Or like when we were at PAX Prime, and I think we played with Conrad, and I was mowing everyone down with the para, right? I think there was something about that mouse, like the sensitivity was just right.
That's why I buy a really good mouse.
I have a really good mouse. For some reason, I don't know what sensitivity they had that one set on, but
so we talk a lot about head clicking and about games of skill, and we're just talking about mouse and how the mouse is so important to Counter-Strike. So this gentleman killed you with a wheel. He had puts up a video where he ends the debate between what is better for Counter-Strike, a gamepad or a mouse and keyboard, by using a wheel. And the opening of the video was so great because he goes into the console while music is building up to it, and he types joystick 1.
Uh-oh.
And then his only goal is to not be in last place. This is amazing to behold. They even have their own song.
Killed you with a wheel.
Killed you with the wheel. Headshot with the wheel.
You kind of get a headshot with the wheel. The biggest problem with the wheel is you can't go up and down. So if a guy's far away or too close, you can't get him.
Yup.
But if he's just right, watch out.
But you watch him like trying to hit some people, and it's just almost painful to watch. But because there's a wheel there, it's great.
All right. So Florida man, notorious for drugs, disorderly public conduct, and many other bad behaviors.
There's a reason FARC has a tag for only one state.
Yeah, you might wonder, and there's a Twitter account, Florida Man. You might be wondering, what does Florida Man do when he's not either making meth and exploding it and killing himself,
Or consuming
or
meth.
using meth, or bath salts or whatever have you.
Bath meth.
You probably go scuba diving because Florida's kind of warm and nice, and if you're in the water, you're far away from the other Florida people.
Yeah, I think that's why people swim in Florida.
Right, but of course, because so many Florida men, just die and float out to sea, it attracts certain dangerous animals that this Florida man had to contend with in this pretty good video, which looks like it was shot with a GoPro. So watch it.
It's pretty good. Florida man succeeds.
They should have this Florida man take out all the other Florida men.
Yeah. Well, he's got that spear gun.
A few million enter, one man leave.
In the meta moment, the book club book is A Canticle for Leibowitz.
I started reading it.
I will read it soon.
It's got Jews in it.
You think?
You don't see Jews in the sci-fi too often as a nerdy Jew. I like that.
That is kind of true. There are a couple of characters that exhibit some of the stereotypes that you're thinking of right now, Scott, in like the culture books.
You don't say.
Nah, a few.
Huh.
But yeah, not many sci-fi characters named Leibowitz. Oh, there's one.
You don't say.
Our forum's awesome. YouTube's awesome. Lots of videos coming soon. I'm not going to Hong Kong next week. I wheedled my way out of it. So I'm going to try to edit up the Geeknights Presents Utena. We got 2 more episodes to upload.
If you ever do go to Hong Kong, I should give you a list of electronic things to acquire and bring
Are
back.
you kidding? I'm going to come back with a suitcase full of all the things. Do you know how many HDMI splitters, DRM removers
I'm
are
talking
coming
about,
back
yeah,
with
but I
me?
mean bigger things than that. You can get camera lenses and all that kind of shit, right? Stuff that's more expensive, but is still cheaper there and often available there, but not available here.
Things that I legally have to pay a duty on if I bring back into the United States.
Also bootleg things, right? It's I was watching some photo videos online.
They can confiscate your bootlegs at the border.
Whatever, but it's these guys, they're in Hong Kong, right? And it's they're okay, here's a camera challenge. Take pictures using this flash, and it's the Fuke 960. No, it was the Fuke 690. That's what it was. FUQ 690. And it was just some cheap flash that you can get on the street in Hong Kong, and it's that's so cheap though. If I had 3 of those, what I get instead of one really good one.
Instead of one good camera, I buy 12 terrible cameras.
Yeah, but it's but the guy did amazing shit with those flashes because they work.
No?
Right? So why, and it's cheaper than getting real ones, right?
No.
Anyway.
So yeah, Sailor Moon.
Oh, we're already talking about Sailor Moon. We're not talking about conventions you should go to.
You should go to Kineticon. It's the next big convention we're going to.
You should be pressing F5 while you're listening to this podcast.
Penny Arcade
PAX
Expo
tickets.
badges will go on sale. I'm
Imminently.
pretty sure. My guess
We're
is
on
tomorrow.
orange alert right now for PAX Prime tickets.
My guess is tomorrow, Thursday, May 22nd.
Probably today for most of
My
you.
second guess is Monday.
Yeah, they wouldn't fuck us on Friday.
Well, the website went down today for a minute, and you would for a second I thought maybe I shouldn't tell anyone but my close friends.
Everyone in the world knows. There's no secret keeping.
There's
here.
a Reddit thread longer than any thread in the Geeknights forums within seconds of that going down.
That's right.
You're pretty much fucked if you want to go to PAX.
And the thing, here's a warrant. A lot of people, their method of finding out is they've got a notification on the official PAX account. So whenever it tweets, they get a mobile notification.
Yeah, you're going to get a notification that the badges are sold out.
That shit is delayed 1 to 3 minutes, yo. In that time, you're going to be locked out.
You might get a Monday
If you're,
and a Sunday
if you're
badge.
super lucky, you might get the 4 1 days.
But you're definitely not going to be staying in the Sheraton or the Red Lion.
Oh, hell no.
You're going to be staying. What was that fucking hotel we stayed in? PAX Dev was here.
The serviceable but kind of annoyingly far away hotel.
Well, the thing is, PAX is in the middle. This hotel was way away to the right.
Listen, just stay in an airport hotel and use the light rail every day.
Yeah, random aside, I stayed in an airport hotel for the first time in my life last week. A hotel in the airport.
In the airport? Not just next to it?
So next to
I've stayed in hotels next to an airport, but never in an airport.
So directly connected.
As in you could walk from the hotel to your gate.
Yes.
In without going outside.
I did not have to go outside.
Okay.
I did have to go through security, though.
All right, that's obvious.
Yeah, there appeared to be a way to do security in the hotel if I was first class flying, but I was not, so.
Then they just drive you to the plane.
Yeah, I think they had a personal concierge who will like take care of you and do personal security, but I digress.
Okay.
So, Sailor Moon. Scott knows almost nothing about it.
Okay, so I watched more than 0 Sailor Moon in my life, right? I watched when it was on the TV, I watched like a few episodes, but mostly it would be on like right before the show I actually wanted to watch, which was Bots Master, or it would be on like after something I wanted to watch, like Voltron, when it was on Cartoon Network. So it's like, it was never on at a time when I was going to watch it. So I watched it like a few times, and I know that there's a girl. She turns into Sailor Moon. It's really stereotypical magical girl. There's a bad guy, monster of the week. She fights it. She does some makeup thing and transforms. There's a tuxedo guy who's obviously that dude, and that's her boyfriend.
No, why would you say that?
There's other sailors who are different colors for different planets.
Yep.
And the plot just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then there's lesbians, and then it's over.
What I do enjoy is how, like, you make a lot of guesses about the show, like from the first 2 episodes.
And I'm mostly right because it's so
you're mostly like completely wrong, which is really funny.
How could you be so wrong about something so cliche?
Well, you're like Sailor V. That's Sailor Venus. So there's already Sailor Scouts. Like, no, she's not a Sailor Scout. She's just Sailor V. She's the underwear pervert. She's not a Sailor Scout yet.
Yet.
And yeah, she doesn't come in until way later anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she's gonna be Sailor Venus later.
Yep.
Yeah.
You thought that Naru's mom was Queen Beryl.
Well, they made it look like it.
Different hair. You can only tell some of these characters apart, I realize in retrospect, because their hair is slightly different.
Well, they had that dude who's like works at the arcade who looks just like Jedi.
Jedite,
sorry.
Jedite is
Yoda.
Is milquetoast. He's like Green Barrel's first general. He's basically, his primary trait is being nondescript and boring, and then getting admiraled.
Yeah, that whole Queen Beryl thing reminds me a lot of Voltron, right? Because in Voltron, you've got Zarda? No, it's not Zardoz.
Zardoz?
What the fuck is that dude's name?
I don't remember.
It definitely has a Z.
I'm going to admit to you, Scott, I watched Voltron, but I did not like Voltron.
Voltron's good.
As a kid. But I had the Voltron board game. Are you looking it up?
Oh, is it Zoltan?
Zoltan doesn't sound right either.
Zoltar? It was something like that.
Regardless.
But yeah, it was like him, right? And then there was Zarkon. Right. Okay, so here we go. Thank you, Wikipedia. Right? So this King Zarkon, he's like the real bad guy, right?
Yup.
Then there was his son, Prince Lotor. He was like the second in command kind of bad guy, right? And then there was the sort of person on the side who would summon all of the Robeasts that Voltron would fight, right? So, the Sailor Moon setup is really similar, right? Like Queen Beryl's at the top, and then there's the henchman Jedi, whatever, and then he summons the monster of the week that Sailor Moon actually has to fight. And she doesn't actually fight the top bad guys, just like Voltron doesn't, ever fight, Prince Lotor or whatever. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, Nephrite, or not Nephrite, that's still Jedi. We didn't get to all the much better ones yet.
They all have Ite.
Yeah, you see the theme going, right? Jedite, Zoisite, Malachite. Well, I guess it's...
Oh, they're all gems of kind.
Not gems.
No, stones.
Okay, I guess someone wasn't in Science Olympiad as a kid. But you might remember Zoisite is the one who, in the American dub, they made him a girl to just kind of remove this whole homosexual relationship that was going on.
It's an androgynous person?
Yeah. And
you could freaking go to freaking Mazinger Z with
oh my god, yeah. But that wouldn't have been on American TV either. But it's interesting, I watched all of Sailor Moon twice. All of it. But most of the first 10 or 15 episodes
Baron Ashur, right?
I saw dubbed in the English release, and I never bothered rewatching them in Japanese.
Even though you had all the tapes?
I didn't have tapes of season 1.
Oh, really? You only had those V-kills for all the other
I had
Sailor Moon?
RS, Super S, Stars, Ami-chan no Hatsukoi, and the 3 movies.
Oh, when I was watching the trailer, right, they made a trailer for the re-release, and the trailer only mentioned Sailor Moon S, Super S, and Stars, and R. It didn't mention anything about
The movies.
or that other thing you just said.
Amy's First Love. It's a side story about Sailor Mercury, and she falls in love with this hacker boy who's dating someone else.
Okay.
And then she comes to team.
So I'm really curious if like the movies and everything's going to be included in there or not.
I'm also curious. The movies are, in fact, they're so stereotypical of anime series movies that if we ever do our all anime to the same panel, we have to add all 3 Sailor Moon movies to it to buff it out.
Maybe some of those Tenchi movies also.
Yeah. Well, kind of. Yeah, the Tenchi movies do. But these movies occur on islands. They bring in side characters who then die. Like, it's pretty much straightforward. I think Sailor Moon dies in all of them, too.
But anyway, so since I was in like middle school or high school, whatever, we watched the first 2 re-released episodes of Sailor Moon, right? In their uncut subtitled version on
Now,
Hulu.
episode 2 is notable because it was never even aired on American TV because it showcased too much juvenile delinquency and panty shots and Satanism.
Yeah, so you never saw it before.
Never
today.
saw that episode.
Okay, so let's just talk about Sailor Moon. So first of all, this show has a lot, it's weird in that right from the beginning, you have all these magical girl show tropes, cliches, hardcore, right? Running out of the house late for school. She didn't have toast in her mouth, but she might as well would have, right?
Yep.
Helping pet friend, transformations,
Say, Moon Tiara, whatever, makeup, magic go.
magical attacks, everything, right? The whole bag, all right? But unlike, say, modern shows where everything's sort of moe, creepy pervy, or cutesy kitty, it's a lot more wacky comedy gag manga style like Urusei Yatsura or
like
Kodocha or any of the other, gag mangas of that era, right? Or even earlier. So
And it's actually, honestly, it's pretty funny at times. Like, I kind of forgot how funny this show can be.
So in that way, it's sort of, unique in that it's sort of combining the magical girl and the gag, genres together. But it's also has some funniness to break up the tedium of the formula fighting the monster of the week.
Though I realize something that's interesting is that Scott's opinions of this, having only kind of seen the beginning of Sailor Moon and episodes from season 1 and none of the later stuff, the show is way more Green Lantern-y and superhero-y later on than is obvious from the beginning. And the manga is just Green Lantern with girls.
Even from the beginning?
Oh my god, the manga, I haven't even read all the manga, but from what I've read of the manga, it is the Green Lantern.
Okay.
It is all just space politics and battles, and it's crazy. Kind of want to read the manga, actually.
Go for it.
I've been thinking for a while to get it all and just try to read it. I used to read it in Borders Books. Or no, Walden Books.
So the first thing you notice when you watch Sailor Moon is that Usagi is dumb as a brick.
Yeah, Usagi's pretty fucking dumb, actually. And spoilers, she never gets smarter.
Even at the end where it's all Green Lantern-y?
She pretty much, as far as I can
still
tell,
the wacky comedy when it's in space.
Scott made an observation that I never thought of much, having just because I've seen the show a lot more. They're closer to it, so it's easy for me to kind of gloss over these things. Scott, you described Usagi or Sailor Moon as almost being a weapon wielded by others.
Yeah, she doesn't do anything. It's just like the cat tells her what to do. Tuxedo guy tells her what to do. She doesn't actually attack the bad guys or do anything of her own volition because she's so dumb. It's other people just make her do it, and she has all this power, but she has no, will whatsoever.
Her primary power
seems
seems
punch
to be
and kick the bad guys. She just stands there while the bad guys are coming at her.
Then
right?
she cries.
One guy throws a rose once, and that somehow stops all the lower henchmen.
Because he's way powerful.
Yeah, and then it's just like, throw the tiara. Hello.
Welcome to the trope.
She doesn't even transform on her own. It's just, hey, transform now.
Do I have to?
Say these exact words.
What were the words
Okay.
again? I forgot. I got 30% on my English test. Let me tell you what, her grades only go down as the show goes on.
How could you go down? How did she not get kicked out of school or held back?
I have no idea.
Maybe that's why. I mean, how long? She's in 8th grade now, right?
Yep.
So she's almost in high school. She's
She
a
will
senior in
make
middle
it
school.
to high school in Sailor Stars.
She actually makes it. So that means she has to pass the classes, right? In middle school.
I guess. She's pretty dumb. But she, as far as I can remember, she doesn't do much of her own volition, like really. Like there's a moment in Stars where she is finally like, you know what? I'm going to do this thing. And then she does it. And everyone else is like, no, don't do that. It's kind of like when when Monica's mom is like, you should do something that's the wrong thing. And she's like, fuck yes. And she throws something somewhere and then all shit breaks loose.
Yeah.
Sailor Moon has a scene like that, but it takes all the way until Stars to get to it. But I don't know. The show, I kind of want to watch the entire thing again because it has been about 14 or 15 years since I watched Sailor Moon.
It'll be 14, 15 years before you see it all again. It's 200 episodes.
Kind of amazed how much I actually do remember, but most of what I remember is from S and Stars, and Super S is just...
What's the order so people know?
So, Sailor
Obviously,
Moon.
you watch Sailor Moon first.
Sailor Moon, the first...
See, now, when you watch Sailor Moon, how many seasons does that have?
So one season was what was available.
Okay.
Sailor Moon, 26 episodes, and that's just the whole Queen Beryl arc.
Okay.
And you learn, and by the end of that, you learn the backstory that she's the reincarnation of the Queen from the previous era. In a sense, Sailor Moon is a post-apocalyptic story. This is a world that was rebuilt after an apocalypse.
Okay. But I mean, if you just watch Sailor Moon on its own, it's a complete story with an end, and you can stop.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so each one of them is a complete story.
Pretty much, yes. Each one is a standalone
But obviously,
story.
you need to watch the previous one to understand the next one.
Not really.
Really, you can just watch Sailor. Like if I just started today and all the episodes were out, and I watched Super S, I would know what's going on.
You wouldn't know who most of the characters were, but it wouldn't really matter that much.
So, but there wouldn't be any like loose ends from the previous one or loose ends hanging at the end.
So, interestingly, so let's go. So after Sailor Moon, which the end of that
it's
is
only
some of the-
26 episodes, Sailor Moon?
Yeah.
Okay.
The end of the first season of Sailor Moon is actually one of the high points of the show. It's just it's a really good ending.
All right.
Not gonna lie.
Well, I imagine they kill Queen Beryl's as dead, right?
It's complicated.
Okay.
Sailor Moon R is the next Sailor Moon.
Arr.
Sailor Moon R has two story arcs.
Oh,
There's
okay.
Alan and Anne. I watched that in English. I didn't have fan subs of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
If I did, I actually didn't watch them, I don't think. But they're just some aliens come down in a tree, and they're trying to steal people's energy.
Oh, so the arcs are based on the big bad guy.
Yes, whoever the big bad guy is the arc.
Okay.
And then the next half
Fist
of
of
that
the North
is,
Star is the same way.
is Prince Diamond and all these sort of other royals come down, and they have their business going on, and they resolve that. It's actually
Why is
probably...
everyone messing with Earth? Aren't there like a zillion other planets they can mess with?
You find out later why that's the case.
Okay.
So
They didn't rebuild after their apocalypses?
Sailor Moon S is when, in my opinion, shit got good, because that is like the crazy apocalypse. There's the Holy Grail is out there. There's these aliens
The
trying
Jesus,
to come in.
the same one Jesus had?
Maybe.
Maybe. So Sailor Moon has to go and get the cup that Jesus drank from. Was Jesus like Sailor Desert or something?
I'll put it this way: there are
Sailor
multiple.
Rome.
You know some of the scenes in Kill La Kill where they're experimenting on babies and or trying to make clothes in
Yeah.
a lab. Some of those scenes are cribbed like shot for shot from scenes in Sailor Moon S.
Okay.
Sailor Moon S is some of my favorite Sailor Moon. That's the dark stuff, the weird stuff.
So was it called R and then S?
Fuck if I know.
Okay.
If I knew at any point, I have forgotten.
As opposed to like Sailor Moon 2 or 3.
S is also a complete story. S is a high body count, and S is when you get introduced to the outer Senshi, the Sailor Scouts from the outer planets.
They're still introducing characters way late.
Yes. Dude, Sailor Moon is by herself for a good chunk of the first season. And then she gets Sailor Mercury and Sailor Mars kind of early.
But it's like they're in the opener, right? In the first opener of the first episode, you see these other sailors, right? And you see Sailor V before you even see Sailor Moon in the show.
Yep. She basically awakens them as time goes on in the early parts of the show. Then they find Sailor Jupiter, and she's this badass punching girl.
Yeah, punching.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sailor Venus is already awakened because there's another cat that found her. And he is like, yo, you're powerful, whatever. So she's an underwear pervert in her own regard. And then she realizes she's a Sailor Scout and all that stuff. But that's the inner Senshi. They're responsible for like internal bullshit within the solar system.
So is in this universe is our solar system the center of the universe?
No, there are other solar systems that have their own sets of sailors.
So why is Sailor Moon so much more important than any of those other people in the other solar systems?
Who says she is?
I think she obviously is because the show's named after her.
If we're watching a cop show that's set in Baltimore, that doesn't mean that there aren't cops in France.
Sure, but this show goes into the outer space parts.
Yeah, so here's the deal. The inner Senshi are responsible. They're like the FBI of the galaxy. The outer Senshi are like the CIA. They
How come there's no there's a Sailor Moon? How come there's no like Sailor Io or Sailor Titan or Sailor Europa?
I don't know.
Huh.
Some of that might be dealt with. Like, there are characters that have names from those other moons and things.
Also, clearly their astronomy was all fucked up because there is a Sailor Pluto, right? But there shouldn't be.
Well, Sailor Pluto's weird that she can't really interact much because of her power.
And what's the other thing that's out there next to Pluto?
Oh, Charon?
Yeah, how come there's no Sailor Chara?
Well, Sailor Saturn is the most powerful one. Her power is basically destroy the entire universe.
Rings. Duh.
Yeah?
Duh.
Well, Saturn, Kronos and all that.
Rings.
Yeah.
Well,
Not really rings is why.
Well,
Not at
wouldn't
all.
Jupiter be stronger with that badass fucking storm?
Yeah, but she just punches people.
Well, if you're that big, you usually only need to punch people.
So what's funny is in Sailor Moon S,
Don't play an ace when a deuce will do.
like you get used to these Sailor Scouts, like this team of 5. They're like the thing. And then you meet the Outer Senshi, and they're a little bit older. They're like later middle school, early high school. They are.
But they're still just people on Earth.
Yes. They, however, drive cars, act like adults, and they're so much more powerful than the Inner Senshi. It's almost a joke. Mm-hmm. And
I don't know how more can be more powerful than like Tiara action, you're dead.
Yeah, so they.
What if she accidentally shoots Tiara action like at the ground? Will the Earth disintegrate?
I think it only works on living things. I don't
So
really remember.
Would it disintegrate an elephant?
Doesn't work on everyone. Like, she has to upgrade over time. She gets constant upgrades. Super S is all about her daughter from the future
Okay.
comes back to learn things.
You're a middle school girl, and here's your daughter from the future.
Yeah, so in Stars, a younger person comes from the future, and for a while they're like, well, is that her daughter?
Granddaughter.
What the fuck's going on in the future?
Why would people coming from the future? I mean, clearly, if people are coming from the future's doing pretty good, right? So why are they coming back to the past? You should go with them back to the future.
Yeah, well, I guess, because then you aren't there to save the past.
Fuck the past. The future's all good. People are coming from there. They have time machines.
Because you're still there as soon as you leave. It's like The Bravest Warriors, where he tries to go back in time and fix things.
Yeah.
And he's like, if this is a bad idea, I would obviously come back here and destroy this machine right before, and then he comes back and destroys it right in front of himself. That is that.
That's why Bravest Warriors is so good.
Oh, Bravest Warriors.
Bravest Warriors.
I like that show about as much as I like Pokemon Rusty.
Well, I mean,
Did you watch the new episode of Pokemon Rusty?
how different?
Lavender Town?
How different is Sailor Moon really from Pokemon Rusty? The only difference between Sailor Moon and Pokemon Rusty that I can see is that
Pokemon Rusty.
Rusty fails and Sailor Moon succeeds somehow.
Yep.
That's the only difference, right? If Pokemon Rusty like actually managed to beat Team Rocket and catch Pokemon and whatnot, he would be Sailor Moon.
You know what? Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Interesting commentary going on here.
Rusty is just as dumb.
But it's interesting, like watching the show and in this early episode and seeing all this school stuff. That's really not there in later episodes.
Well, that's most anime. Start with a school and it goes away, right?
Yep.
Well, Full Metal Panic has a school that goes away. Naruto has a school that goes away.
Yep.
I think Yu Yu Hakusho has a school that goes away.
Yep, that is true. Koto-chan has a school that doesn't go away.
That's true. I like, and the thing is, school stuff. It's like so many mangas, right, start in school, right? And then they break away from it to go to some sort of formula of battling or who knows what. But they start with school because school stuff is so good. It's just really hard to, as a writer, to keep writing school stuff where you keep it fresh all constantly.
Well, you should watch Shin Sekai Yori from the New World because they're in school.
The whole time?
Yeah, well, then they're adults, but they're in like college. It's you should watch that show. That gives you interesting ways to use school.
Right, but I mean, I'm talking about like concentrating on the Japanese middle or high school and staying in it. The only kind of shows that can really manage that are stuff like Azumanga Daioh.
Why do they make a shonen fighting show that's about getting good grades in school?
They did. It's called Cromartie.
So anyway, Sailor Moon Super S is all about her daughter who's
so
living...
It's Sailor Moon, RS, Super S.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's her daughter falls in love with a unicorn boy, and there's this...
Wait, Unicorn Boy?
Yeah.
Does he transform? Or
Yeah.
is he always a unicorn?
He can be a boy too.
Okay.
And that's kind of... It's important and standalone. I think it gets more treatment in the manga, but it's kind of cute. I really like the closing theme.
Where are the unicorns from?
The space bullshit. I don't remember.
Is this planet with unicorns
It's
on
all Green Lantern space bullshit.
it? Okay.
So Stars the last season up through episode 200.
Oh, that's the last one?
Stars is the
Because I
last
saw
one.
that in the trailer, and it looked like Macross 7, and I
Yeah.
was like...
Stars is the one where there's dudes who they transform into Sailor Scouts, so they just become women
Okay.
when they transform, and they are as more powerful than the outer senshi are than the inner senshi. They're
so
just
the
like
Macross
gods.
7 people are the most powerful?
They're the most powerful Sailor Scouts. They're badasses.
Wait, but that thing that's on Macross 70 is the end of the whole thing?
yes.
That's what the fuck?
So everything up through Super S is kind of constrained to this galaxy. So it's like our bullshit in our solar system within the greater galaxy doesn't really matter. It's just that like our solar system has all these problems. We're dealing with them. There's an external threat from elsewhere in the galaxy. We fight it off. Stars is about the galactic crisis where
That's why you need the gods to help you?
yeah, there's a bigger sailor.
So
than
how does Sailor Moon even contribute when these god guys taking care of it?
So, like I said, there's a point where she kind of, like, her powers work, but she's really not contributing. And there's a moment in Stars where she's like, fuck this, I'm doing the thing. And she does the thing, and it's a thing.
But she has a thing to do?
She actually actively does a thing despite,
Okay.
she demonstrates volition and forethought in a way that is rarely seen in her character up until that point.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's interesting to watch the show and see like this middle school hijinks and like her stereotypical anime friends, Wakaba and Creepy Dude.
Or, well, we could actually just call Wakaba Naru.
Yeah, but
Right.
she's a Wakaba.
Yeah.
Wakaba 100%.
Yep.
In fact, Wakaba in ways that are surprisingly apt in terms of things that happen to her later. In terms of her not being special in any way. Kind of like how Wakaba is not in the
But
Ten
still being a
universe.
character in the show that matters in the
Yep.
show.
And she matters in the plot, but she's not special in whatever magical way that the special people
She's
are special.
not Sailor anything.
Yeah, she's not a duelist. She's not a sailor. As I recall in Stars, and even in S, you kind of learn that people who aren't sailors, their souls just fucking disappear when they die. Like, they got nothing. They don't get reincarnated. Only sailors get reincarnated because they have real souls.
Oh, so then Sailor Moon could just like go get killed in a fight and it wouldn't matter. She'd come right back.
That's the greater plot. Sailor Moon is the reincarnation of the princess from the previous world that was destroyed in an apocalypse.
Okay.
So anyway, Stars is the galactic crisis where there's kind of like the head sailor who is taking over the entire galaxy and she's evil. And Sailor Moon in this...
Oh, there's an evil sailor?
yeah, well, there's...
Why does the... I mean, if this is such a universal thing, what does the universe know about sailing, which is a really Earth-centric concept?
That word means something special. That word is the equivalent of... It's like a kryptonite. It's a proper noun.
Uh-huh, but they're wearing clothes that resemble sailing. And
Yeah, I guess humans
like
got their
Donald
sailing
Duck
tradition
with a
from...
skirt.
Well, I point out the galactic sailors from far away, the Starlights, they don't wear that shit. They just wear like these black leather outfits.
Sexy sailing.
They're the sexiest.
In the Navy.
They also have the best opening theme ever. I'll
Well, if
include
it's
it
all
in the
Macross
episode.
7 style, they better, right?
Yeah. No, every time they're about to appear, you hear this snapping.
Oh, that's so badass.
Do, do. And then someone starts whistling and then they appear. They're the best.
If we snap and whistle, will they show up?
I don't know. I think I remember. It's like...
Oh, someone's coming. Someone's coming. Oh, it's just Proto Man. Never mind.
So, again, people are going to correct me, I'm sure, because I've gone over 15-year-old memories. Their names were Taiki, Yaten, and I forgot the third guy's.
Not Tycho.
I think it's Taiki.
Okay.
Yaten is the one I definitely remember because I think there's... I remember it might be a
Are they
translation
named
error.
after nebulas or some shit?
I remember
Or
seeing
faraway
a weird.
stars? Oh, they're named after stars because they're stars.
Well, one of their powers is a cosmic uterus thing. So
Is there one named Soul?
no?
Huh.
So anyway, I recall a weird, possibly implied romance between Luna and
The cat?
Yaten.
The cat and the rock.
That sailor Starlight, the one with the gray hair.
Okay.
I remember thinking I saw that happening.
Cat sex.
And then I mentioned it to another friend of mine who was like, yeah, I always kind of thought that too. And then he showed me even other scenes where like, oh, there was something going on between those two.
Cat
Even
sex.
though she's supposed to be dating Artemis, the white cat.
Okay.
And they
well,
have
I mean, it would be hard to date anything that's not a cat.
Yeah, they
When you're a
what?
cat.
Well, I mean, look,
You're not transforming like the unicorn.
she dates the unicorn, and right now he's still unicorning right there.
Oh. Okay then.
Hey, that's fine.
Everyone's getting freaky, and Sailor Moon's just clueless.
But yeah, the stars is like now the galaxy's having this crisis, and Sailor Moon is just like the one power from this one region that's still holding out, and they have to fight back. And it's
Oh,
this
because
whole,
they did such a good job of defending their solar system. They're like the only place where
They're the only
good
place-
guys are winning.
yeah, they're like the only place left
So they
unconquered.
end up. So they just by virtue of the fact that they didn't suck at in their small local battles, they become like the home base for the galactic battle.
the Galactic Resistance basically lands
It's not
there.
because they're actually any more special than anyone else. It's just they happen to be in a good location.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The other things I really remember that specifically Haruka and Michiru are the best characters in the entire show.
I don't even know
Bar
who
none.
those people
They're
are.
Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus.
Okay. I know Sailor Uranus from Salty Bet.
Yeah.
Bet on her.
Yeah,
Usually.
you know what? Uranus, everyone has their like
Always bet
token item.
Uranus, almost.
Uranus carries a sword, an actual sword.
Cutting people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Neptune is, for my high school eyes watching the show,
The hottest?
the hottest character I'd ever seen in anime other than Unipuma from Tank Police.
Really? Not Anapuma?
I was always more a fan of Unipuma.
You could tell the difference if I
She
had
had
two pictures?
I'm pretty sure Unipuma had slightly lighter hair. Mm-hmm. Pretty sure.
Could you tell the difference in the manga where there's no color?
Probably not. Manga didn't make a lot of sense, I remember, when I tried to read it.
All right. Is there anything else to say about sailing around the moon?
I don't know. I feel like I'm going to watch it all again because my memories of it, it's interesting. I remember all the big plot points and they seem really epic and interesting. But at the same time, watching episodes, I'm reminded that 90% of it is her saying skinny kawate, ojiokyo, doing all the transformation. Battles in middle episodes of the season are every Sailor Scout doing their scripted attack one by one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The whole thing is, 200 something episodes?
Exactly 200.
But the first season's only 26? It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
And how many? There's 5 seasons? 20. Hey, that doesn't make sense. How do you get to 200 episodes with only like 5 seasons?
Well, there's Sailor Moon, RS. Let me pull up the full list of episodes.
Some of those other letters of Sailor Moon have to have a lot more than 26 episodes to make this work, right?
Sailor Moon here we go, list of Sailor Moon episodes. Let me get the full breakdown because I'm going to be off on some of my numbers.
Okay.
Oh my God, no, I was wrong. So the original Sailor Moon is actually 46.
There you go. That makes more sense. I'm like, how are they going to kill Queen Beryl if they've only like just doing Monster of the Week right now? That makes no sense.
6 episodes were cut from the English release.
Was the second one of them?
Yes.
What were the other ones?
So the other ones were, let's see, what was cut? Punish Them, The House of Fortune is the Monster Mansion.
Sailor Moon fucking loves punishing.
A Monster's Scent, Chanela Steals Love.
Okay.
Protect the Melody of Love, Usagi's the Cupid. So episodes 5 and 6 were both cut as well.
All right.
And
Well,
then
we'll probably see those next Monday.
episode 20, The Summer, the Ocean, Our Youth, and a Ghost.
Ooh, spooky ghost.
Yeah, 1992. And then
I was 10.
I forgot. So they cut the entire backstory of Sailor Venus.
Okay.
They just skip that.
Wait, so Sailor V you don't know anything about?
Yeah, they basically just skip her past and her and I remember this because this is when I went to seek the fan subs when I learned about this episode. Sailor Venus basically has a friend who's like something weird happens and Sailor Moon could have killed her and there's a debate where they almost kill a regular person and they decided that was too violent for American TV.
Okay.
Even though no actual violence happens, it's just an anime. Like whatever.
There really isn't any violence in this. Sailor Moon doesn't punch or kick.
She got cut.
Yeah, but all she does is stand there and eventually throws the tiara and this isn't like an actual action scene, right? Utena has more action and it's more poorly animated because there's actually a sword fight going on. She just stands there, waits for the bad guy, and eventually she throws the tiara.
That trope does not change pretty much until the end of the show. You could probably
Why
watch...
would you not? Why would you need to change it? The thing is, I wish she would just get there and just immediately be like, tiara action, dust, done. Instead of waiting there for like 10 minutes and then doing it.
Nah.
It's like, all right, bad guy, I'm going to let you do a bunch of shit and then I'll do it. It's like, why? We just want to look at the bad guy because it's so ugly? I don't know.
What's funny is that the title of the episodes almost seem to get longer and crazier as the show goes on. I mean, eventually you get the brightness of the ceiling of the calling stars, Haruka and company into the war.
If we make a show, that's the kind of episode titles we're going to have.
Yeah, that is pretty much the best way to title anything ever.
Every title should be like a full
When the
haiku.
galaxy perishes, the Sailor Soldiers' final battle is 4 episodes from the end.
Okay, so moons, sailing,
Yep.
important animes of historic note.
We will
terms
probably
of relative to other
do
anime.
some for real modern reviews of every season, or at least every story arc as they come out.
Yeah, we'll make a few videos. We're not going to do a video of every episode like Utena because
No.
it doesn't warrant it, and there's
Nope.
200 of them.
You could do an episode of every plot point, but that wouldn't take that long.
No.
But it's interesting. It's kind of like how if you tell someone the story of like an X-Men comic, but you skip all the kind of stupid bullshit that happens in between the actual plot points, it sounds like a really interesting and epic story. But then you read the comic and there's all this bullshit in between. and the actual dramatic moments, knowing the spoiler of what happened is not much more dramatic than seeing it happen. Or not much less dramatic. Sailor Moon is kind of the same way in that a lot of it is just stupid filler, but there's little character interactions and little bits that occur in every episode along the way that are actually really good and really plotty.
I really wish I got to see the consequences, like in the second episode of the kid being evil the day before.
Yeah, like how come he wasn't kicked out of school and sent to jail?
Right, and how about the other kids? And how come every time the bad guys come, all they seem to do is put evil on every middle school kid in town?
Yep. Yes, you 8th graders, go out and tear this town
This
up.
will give energy to my boss enough to finish their evil plan.
Well, Scott, you know what the answer is? That's why Jedi's going to get Darth Vader in a little bit. Jedi is kind of milquetoast. Malachite
he doesn't even do anything himself. All he does is like send out a bad guy to do something.
Actually, you can tell that I only watched the dub for the early episodes because I think his name is Kunzite in the Japanese.
Anyway,
Yeah, I know it was Malachite.
whatever.
He's the baddest ass of all of them. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not 1, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.